Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Seasonal Tokens Podcast, where Polar interviews people so you can do more investing and less gambling.
Hello everyone, it is Polar here, the CMO of Seasonal Tokens, and today we have another very interesting guest. Today we have Roy that is going to share with us more about his blockchain and crypto experience. Can you share with me and all of our listeners what has actually made you to choose Web3?
I think there are a few things that I really like about Web3 itself as a space. If you see the origins of the internet, the Web 1 world, if I have to say it that way, it was always conceived to be, the data was always conceived to be in the power of the people, right? You had ownership of everything that you were putting on the internet. Even if you were writing something like a blog or a website content, that content used to be with you, right? In the Web 1 space. In Web 2, this kind of has moved towards different other companies like Facebook and Google kind of learning about you, your data, and they capturing this data about you and making personas about you and selling this data off to other people for money. I think that is where we lost the ownership of our own data and the privacy aspect of it. And that is what is really attracting me to the Web3 space, because in the Web3 space, you have your data with you, you have control over your finances, your money is in your hands, and you don't have to depend on any centralized authorities to kind of take care of your money or your data for you, right? Even you don't even have to depend on a bank, for example, even if you're using like a DeFi protocol, for example. So I think this removal of this third party, which is between us, is kind of the main reason which attracted to me. And of course, the privacy of this entire industry is what. And I kind of understand that this is where we are going to, because blockchain is here to stay, right? Blockchain is just going to be developed into newer and newer aspects. Every government itself is kind of using aspects to help its citizens. Companies are using blockchain in their own processes. So blockchain is definitely here to stay. So all of these aspects is kind of what make me attracted to the Web3 space.
Absolutely. You have mentioned a lot of the reasons why I'm also part of the blockchain industry, and I believe that it will be with us forever. Like you just mentioned, probably there will be a Web 4 after many, many years. But for now, I think that Web 3 can help us to solve a lot of problems that ordinary people like me and you are worried about, like privacy, like giving money for nothing for third parties that are doing actually nothing for this money, but just because they are the third party, they're getting their piece of the pie and we are losing money because of that. So I definitely agree with you that blockchain has to be with us and it can help us a lot. So you have mentioned, and I also know that you have a podcast and you have interviewed some great guests there. So what has actually motivated you to start podcasting?
Well, when I started knowing and learning about the crypto and the Web3 space in general, right? So one of the things that I was having challenges was having a certain single authority or a single point where I know that I can just go to this resource and learn everything there is about Web3, right? And unfortunately or fortunately, I never found such a space. Always there was this category that you had to go into, or, this particular thing. And it kind of seemed almost the same. You go to any website which teaches you about crypto and Web3 space, and it all seems the same to you, right? It's not personal. It's just information being thrown at you. And that is why I kind of felt myself that I was not able to learn from it. So the first thing I did was I went to YouTube and started learning from them. But YouTube itself got so much crowded, and so much people were talking all different things and fighting with each other and contradicting each other on podcasts like that. So I wanted to build a place where people can just come, people can listen to other people who are building actually in this space, right? We are in a bear market right now, and there is so much negativity going around that people are just negative about this space and people are just not ready to believe in the crypto narrative itself. But I wanted to build this space to understand from these real experts, the people who are actually building in this space, the people who are actually building the future for us, right? And understand in their own words, in their own stories, how they came to be in the Web3 space, how they kind of had the ideas for their project, how they met their team members, and how they were working all over the world as a single team, right? So I think those are the stories that need to come out, and that is the objective of my podcast, apart from obviously making it simple itself for the people to understand, because understanding this space requires some technical knowledge. And because I understand the technology and because I understand some bit of the Web3 space, I would say, I think I can make this simple enough and learn from these experts myself. When I'm talking about this space, I can learn from these experts myself and, give an impression that it's not just them. They should not feel alienated that they are the only people who don't know about this space. I come across as even I don't know about this space, and I'm trying to learn from that expert who is trying to see. I want to be their friend. I want to come across as anybody learning on my podcast should feel like, oh, this is a friend I'm talking to. That's the objective of my podcast.
Nice. So, like we have talked before we started the podcast, I think that you are doing your part of educating people and helping them to navigate the stormy world of crypto and helping them to find their place in it. Because like we mentioned this many times already, like crypto is going to stay. So people will need more information, actually trustable information places where they can educate themselves so it can be easier for them. So you have had a good amount of guests so far. So my question for you is, based on these interviews, is there something that you have learned from them that you haven't known before that?
Absolutely, I have. So the most funniest thing that I learned in one of my interviews, the guest said that it's called the Web3 space because you kind of only sleep for 3 hours in a day, right? And because this space is always active, the people are always doing new things and it changes in every 3 weeks. That's why it's called Web3. That was the funniest thing I learned. But on a more serious note, I think it's more important to understand that where do you go to educate yourself? Which are those resources that you can use to educate yourself? And how are you approaching the community in this space, right? So are you going to the right places? Are you going to the right communities and talking about crypto, or are you believing in some random people who are just ranting about how this space is bad and it's just a fad that is going to go off? Which are those communities you're listening to? That is what is most important to me, and I think that is what the most important thing I've learned. Apart from that, it's also important to learn how you can educate yourself. Investing in crypto is definitely much, much more difficult than investing in the stock market or the bond market, for example. So it is always very important that you educate yourself about the crypto space. And obviously, as anybody in this space will tell you, always prepare for the worst, because extremely volatile space, and you will every day feel like your value of your investments is just dropping and whatnot. But don't believe them. I would just say people are there. People are really helping you out in this space. And even Po, you and me, right? We just met on this space and we started talking about this. So it is important to understand that this community is there to support you. That is the most important aspect that I have learned in this space. And that is what makes the most difference.
I absolutely agree with you. Like I have mentioned in one of my previous episodes, that I have been able to meet some of the greatest people in my life in a very, very short amount of time. And we have become friends without even seeing each other in the real world, without having a coffee together, just because we have started with the good intentions of helping each other. So I definitely agree with you that there are a lot of great people that truly want to help you, but also there are some people that want to make money because of you. So be careful and make the right choice about that.